You were an editorial contributor to the Chicago Tribune. My understanding is it's always been a Republican newspaper until Obama. They twice endorsed him, didn't they?
They did. They did twice endorse. No, actually, they endorsed him in 2008, and they they endorsed Gary Johnson of all people.
Oh, really?
In 2012.
And
Yeah,
Obama was the first Democrat that the paper ever endorsed.
Yeah, although the Tribune at the local level has been trending left for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's, basically the Chicago Press Corps, like the LA Press Corps, is just an extension of the DC Press Corps,
right.
At least in terms of the politics. And so there's a couple of conservatives on the Chicago Tribune still left, but it looks and sounds nothing like when it was Colonel McCormick's paper. It's not a conservative paper anymore.
The status, Dan Proft, of the Jussie Smollett case.
Well, there's been a recommendation not a recommendation. A special prosecutor was retained in the case after Kim Foxx botched it, the state's attorney in Cook County. And Smollett was charged with 6 misdemeanor counts of disorderly conduct for the hoax that he perpetrated. And so that matter is now pending adjudication.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's been charged with. Probably doesn't amount to more than fines on community service, depending on whether he wants to go to trial or settle. But it's a pending matter. But he has been charged with 6 counts of misdemeanor disorderly conduct.
Finally, Dan Proft, give me your reaction to the debate, and who will be the last man or woman standing?
Well, I got to tell you, I think it's tracking for Bolshevik Bernie, and not just because he has a constituency where Bloomberg has merely a TV audience, but because Bernie is the second choice. This is sort of violates the conventional wisdom coming out of D.C. that and the Democrat establishment that is scared to death to have Bernie as the nominee, that he has a high floor but a low ceiling. If you look into the numbers a little bit deeper, you find that he is the second choice of a lot of people who are right now supporting another candidate. And you also saw a Monmouth University poll out this week that finds his fave-on-fave rating among Democrat primary voters is 70-19, almost 4-1. That means that there are a lot of people that may not be supporting him in the Democrat ranks right now, but they'd be very comfortable if it turns out that he piles up a plurality, if not a majority of delegates. And it's going to be very difficult, I think, for the party to prevent, say, for example, Bernie with a plurality of the delegates going to the convention and them saying, no, we want to we want to get rid of the Electoral College. We want to eliminate that because whoever gets the most votes should win. But as it comes to our convention with our nominee, we're not going to allow whoever got the most delegates to be the nominee. I think it's a very difficult case for them to make, given Bernie's below the fold popularity among the Democrat Party.
You know, Dan, before you came on, I was talking about listening to NPR this morning as I was driving in, and there's a program called Left, Right, and Center, and the lefty was saying, look, back in 2016, I wrote a piece saying why Donald Trump can't win. I was dead wrong. I learned my lesson. And for all the Republicans who are rooting for Bernie Sanders to be Donald Trump's opponent, you're going to regret it because Bernie Sanders can not only get the nomination, but he can win the election. And I was cheering because, in my opinion, Dan, they're that deluded.
Well, I agree with you. I think a capitalism versus socialism matchup with those lines starkly drawn is a great matchup for Trump, particularly given how well the economy has performed the last 3 years under his leadership. It's not a laboratory exercise. You have a record versus a utopian dream, and a frightening one at that. But it is interesting that both Trump and his pollster, Tony Fabrizio, have said, yeah, we'd rather face Bloomberg. We'll take on his billions of dollars rather than Bernie Sanders' millions of constituents. And the only thing I would say is, enthusiasm matters. He has a constituency. So you take nothing for granted, but I agree with you that I like the matchup. But frankly, I like any matchup.
I was going to say the same thing, Dan Proft. Either one of them is fine with me. The one that scares me the most is Amy Klobuchar. She's the only rational one there left standing.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I have to remark on the debate. I mean, this is how colorless and charisma-less the entire field is, that Amy Klobuchar is sort of like the zany cut-up on the stage. I mean,
Dan, we're going to have to leave it there. We're going to have to leave it there. Dan Proft, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Larry. Appreciate your time.
You got it.